Yes guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a brand new video. Now Arsenal's starting 11 at the moment has a couple of concerns, from quality concerns to players being injured, and a couple of other concerns, and that actually gives me a question: how would Arsenal line up with transfers? How would we line up with the transfer targets we are looking at, the likes of Fadi Kadioglu, the likes of Amadou Onana, and how much would we improve if Arsenal brought in around 3 or 4 players in this January transfer window? Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel as well. Let me know in the comment box below, how many players are you willing to drop from the current Arsenal starting 11 in order to upgrade on them? So how many players would you drop courtesy of them being really injury prone? The likes of probably Zinchenko, I would upgrade on him, not because he's a bad player, but because he is injury prone. And of course, the likes of Ben White, I would upgrade on him because I think there is certainly an area for improvement. We can get a better right back, we can get a much better player playing on the right hand side of that defense. But of course, let me know, how would you improve this Arsenal team? And let's dive into how Arsenal would line up with transfers. Now in goal, I would keep Aaron Ramsdale in goal. I'll bring back Aaron Ramsdale over David Raya, and this is the reason why. So I've looked at Ramsdale, and I know most of us have actually been very, very harsh on Ramsdale. He's been a player that we have thrown away, and you know, we've forgotten about him. But the truth is, Ramsdale is a good player. He is a good goalkeeper, and we just saw that against Liverpool. Now for me, a goalkeeper who is 25 is going to continue making mistakes a couple of times, but as manager Mikel Arteta, he should have spent 30 million elsewhere, not on the goalkeeping department. I still stand with the fact that Ramsdale doesn't concentrate 90 minutes in the goal, but I don't think that is an area we needed to upgrade on. If you still have Eddie Nketiah, you still have Ben White playing at right back, that was not our priority to upgrade on. Why I've gone with Ramsdale over any other goalkeeper and over David Raya, I want the defensive ability, and I want the assurance as well that when Liverpool are through, when you know, Luis Diaz is through, Jota is through, my goalkeeper can make a save. David Raya has not saved, you know, has not kept a clean sheet in a game where the opponent has had 2 shots on target. That is bad. Like, that is really bad. And if Mikel Arteta is telling us that he's going with the best goalkeeper on merit, it is Aaron Ramsdale. It is not David Raya. Now, Raya's distribution has been very, very good, and it's something that is something that, you know, Ramsdale has got to work on. But at the moment, I still think our best goalkeeper, and this is me turning back, is Aaron Ramsdale. Now at centre back, I wouldn't really change much. I don't think Arsenal will sign a centre-back that can actually destabilize the system at the moment. So Gabriel stays at centre-back on the left-hand side, and then the boy himself, William Saliba, the best centre-back in the world, remains on the right-hand side of that centre-back partnership. Now, even in the summer, this is what I'm going to say, even in the summer, I wouldn't swap any players in this centre-back partnership unless Arsenal can sign a really huge centre-back like Matthias de Ligt or Bastoni. But if you're not bringing in Bastoni, you're not bringing in, you know, Matthias de Ligt, who are you actually going to sign to prove me wrong that Gabriel is not one of the best left centre-backs in the Premier League at the moment? With William Saliba, it's just a moment, it's just a question of, can he stay fit for a whole season? Can he stay fit for 2, 3, 4, 5 seasons? Guys, this guy is better than Van Dijk. I'm really sure if you brought you know, a panel here and you asked them Van Dijk and Saliba at the same age, they are all going to take William Saliba. He's a monster of a centre back, and trust me, I love, you know, Virgil van Dijk. I followed him right from Celtic to Southampton, and I always wanted Arsenal to sign him. I always wanted Arsenal to go for Virgil van Dijk. Somehow, at some point in time, we were about to sign him, and then we didn't sign him. And then he goes to Liverpool and becomes an absolute monster of a centre-back. But I think that centre-back pairing between Gabriel and Saliba is the reason as to why we are still in the top 4. It's the reason as to why we have 40 points. It's the reason as to why we've just conceded 18 goals this season so far. It could have been worse. Now, at right back, that is where my first change is going to come in. I don't think Ben White, now he's playing with an injury, that's the first reason, so he's not fully fit, and therefore if you're picking the strongest 11, this Ben White doesn't qualify. He's injured, he's playing with a knee goal, so he's got to drop. So this is where my first change would actually come in, right? So Takara Tomiyasu is with Japan, so he's not an option. And therefore, I would go with Spinazzola. So Spinazzola is one of those players that Arsenal are looking at, and I do like him. Leandro Spinazzola at Roma, 30 years of age. Arsenal have has shown interest, and I think he's a proper fullback than Ben White. So he's one of those players that can run the line to and fro, despite the fact that he's 30 and is really talented. His deliveries are good in the penalty area. He can defend well. He can defend very well in tight spaces and 1v1 situations as well. I think my problem and my concern with Ben White is he's either going to stay in this Arsenal lineup just because he's a Mikel Arteta boy and he cost £50 million, or he's going to drop out of this starting line 11 because someone is going to come and do a better job than him. So take for instance, if Arsenal signed Jeremy Frimpong, he would give us more offensive output and more offensive threat than Ben White, no question about that. Defensively, I mean, there are questions to be asked whether he's a much better player defensively than Ben White. But again, that doesn't mean that he's not that good. So there might be there might come a time where Ben White drops and a player like Jeremy Frimpong for me starts. If you bring in a player who can offer more than Ben White, I don't have a problem seeing him drop to the bench. The second change to the starting 11 comes in at left back, and I'm going to go with Fadi Kadioglu from Fenerbahce. Now, Arsenal really love Fadi Kadioglu. I'm not saying it's a done deal, but I'm saying he's one of the concrete options we should be keeping ourselves really informed about. He's a player that can play on the left wing. He's a player that can play at right back, left back, and also right midfield and left midfield as well, right wing back and left wing back as well. That kind of flexibility, that kind of versatility is what Mikel Arteta really likes. It's what Mikel Arteta wants. And I think with Fadi Kadioglu, he has an advantage. Tomiyasu is a backup to Zinchenko, but Tomiyasu is not as good inverting inside as Zinchenko. Zinchenko is so good at inverting into the midfield and creating a lot of overloads for us in the middle of the pack. Injury prone. So maybe Fadi Kadioglu, if he comes in, he might actually become Arsenal's permanent left back. With Alexander Zinchenko, we were talking with Glenn the last time on the channel. I can see him as a player that is going to leave Arsenal in the next 2 years. I've given you my opinion. 2 years, Zinchenko will be out of Arsenal. Why? He is injury prone at the moment, and I don't see him improving his injury record. The older he gets, the more injury prone is actually going to become. With Tomiyasu, I think there is a lot of options. I think the only player that can stop Fadi Kadioglu from being Arsenal's permanent number 3 is Timber. If Timber comes back, he plays his football consistently, keeps away from injuries, then no problem. I can see him start every single game ahead of Fadi Kadioglu and the likes of Alexander Zinchenko. Now, in midfield, it's a little bit tricky, right? Thomas Partey is still injured, but we know he's coming back. You have Amadou Onana as well there, and you have Declan Rice. The question is who plays deeper. I'm going to go with Amadou Onana. I'm going to go with Amadou Onana playing deeper than Declan Rice, right? And I'm going to give you my reasons. Now, we've seen Amadou Onana at Everton. He's a phenomenal talent. Phenomenal player. Ball carriage, tick. Physicality, tick. Aerial ability, tick. He's such a complete midfielder for me for the Premier League. Now, he's been compared to Patrick Vieira. I don't think he is Patrick Vieira levels. I don't think he is talented to the levels of Patrick Vieira. But his hard work and the fact that he's a very durable player, doesn't pick up many injuries, he can play as many games as he can in a single campaign. That actually gives me a lot of hope, and that actually gives me a lot of confidence in him as a player. So Amadou Onana could actually come in and do a very good job for Arsenal, like we've explained before. We can sit into that defense, that defensive midfield position, allowing Declan Rice to go a little bit further forward, and of course allowing Martin Odegaard to bombard forward and create those interesting, runs and runs, and also those interesting finishing touches. Now we know, of course, Odegaard is very good in the around the area in that zone where he literally arrives and pumps it into the back of the net. Ahmad Onana would actually help us do that. He's not going to be an easy signing to make. He's not going to be a cheap signing to make. But if you get him, you have just signed real quality, like a real quality player for you there. Alongside him in this midfield, I don't think Arsenal will sign another player. So it's going to be Declan Rice, who I'm very interested to see when he plays a little bit further, further forward for around 10 games, right? Is he going to increase his, goal output? Is he going to create more? Is he going to shoot outside the penalty area more? I want to see the other part of Declan Rice that everyone has said we have not seen, right? Now, everyone has told us he's a bowler. He can score goals. He can shoot. He can create. He's got an eye for a very good pass. Probably, when you bring in a defensive midfielder who carries the burden off his shoulders and off his chest, right, we might see a different Declan Rice. And of course, he's never going to abandon his duties to win the ball back for the side and to make sure that there's enough security in front of the back four. But what if he becomes our Granit Xhaka? What if we turn him into a midfield dynamite like Serge Milinkovic-Savic? Like, I like Savic. I really do. Like, being huge, gigantic, and then scoring goals and assisting like all the time. Of course, Serge Milinkovic-Savic, of course, very talented, like really talented. But Declan Rice, can he hit those levels of the likes of Serge Milinkovic-Savic? There is a question there, and Amadou Onana could give us the answer as soon as he comes in. And that would push Martin Odegaard a little bit further forward. He would be playing in the same space, in the same area, but he would be playing a little bit further forward, more like a number 10. And I think Mikel now knows this. Martin Odegaard is your best chance to creativity, as is Kai Havertz your best chance to go, scoring a goal in this Arsenal team. So you look at those two. Where am I going to get my creativity from? Martin Odegaard. Who is the best chance to score for me? Kai Havertz, right? So I would want to see that midfield line up like this. This is how we would set up with Onana in there, Declan Rice and Martin Odegaard. Let me know how that would actually sit down with you. Okay, on the left wing, I've had issues, right? I've had issues. Trossard is off form right now. Reece Nelson, I wasn't really impressed. So I'm going to stick with Gabriel Martinelli because I don't think Mikel Arteta is bringing in a winger this January, right? So we're going to go with Gabriel Martinelli because he's our best bet. I think he's the player that Arsenal are likely to stay with on the left wing. The question with Martinelli, why has he dropped in form? If Mikel Arteta can find an answer to that, if Mikel can go, because I've looked at him last season and this season, he's no longer hungry to rip defenders apart. He's no longer hungry to tear defenses apart. That is not Gabriel Martinelli. Gabriel Martinelli, we know. The Gabriel Martinelli we are used to, he's running all the time. He's drifting into the midfield all the time. He's taking players to the byline all the time. Crosses are coming in from his position all the time. And he's combining with Gabriel Jesus all the time to create some good magic. That is not what we are seeing. This is a very different Martinelli. And Mikel, like he said, he's got to improve the players. You can't just buy a new 11. You just can't do that, right? So I'm going to go with Gabriel Martinelli. I think he's a player who deserves a chance in the second part of the campaign. If Martinelli deserves a chance on the left-hand side, and therefore does Saka. Saka is our best goal scorer. He's also our best creator in the team. I would love to rotate him. But I tell you, I'm just like Mikel Arteta. There are times where I feel he should be dropped. He should be rotated. But then I'm like, what if he's not on the pitch? Do we even have the ability to win a game without Bukayo Saka on the pitch? Do we have the ability to score and create chances without Bukayo Saka on the pitch. He's our most important player, and he's always our most advanced player on the pitch. So that means that without him, Arsenal lose direction. Without him, we need a completely different, approach to our football. That is not something easy to achieve. That is not something easy to get. Right. So Saka for me stays right on the right-hand side. So does Gabriel Martinelli. One player I would switch and I would swap out of this starting 11 is Gabriel Jesus. If Arsenal can get this guy, Dusan Vlahovic at Juventus. If we can get Dusan Vlahovic at Juve, I'm happy to swap out Gabriel Jesus. The remaining days of the season are about defending well and taking your chances. I don't want to do match reactions every single time and I'm screaming the same word. Take your chances. Why aren't you taking your chances? Take your chances. Take your chances. If you can get a striker in January, it would be better because he would allow us to take our chances and he would put us in a much better position. So this is my starting 11. Ramsdale, Fadi Kadioglu at left back, Gabriel Saliba and Spinazzola until Ben White and Zinchenko and Timber and Tomiyasu come back. Rice, Onana, Odegaard, until the end of the season. Martinelli, Vlahovic, Saka as well until the end of the season. Feel free to make any changes, feel free to dispute, and feel free to agree in the comment box below and through hitting that like button as well.